What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be MLB, like on the screen, NFL, NBA, or NHL, games, news, highlights, all that fun stuff. And for anyone that's been following us in our MLB segments, obviously, middle of the week, we just kind of do our weekly check-ins as, series conclude today, rubber matches come about to decide series, and then we slowly get into the weekend series and off day tomorrow for some teams. But with that being said, Nick, obviously we've seen a decent amount of change throughout the week. Every week, some teams get hot, some teams get cold. And with that being said, at the top, we have a leader change. The Orioles have actually surprisingly been playing better baseball of late, but the Yankees are just a little bit hotter right now, and they've overcome the division to take a half game back. And I feel like as we approach the end of the season, it's going to be a lot back and forth for that one spot with them too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure the Yankees game got rained out yesterday, so that also might have, been the reason. So if they, because they got a doubleheader now today, so we can see that flip in the matter of one game or two games or whatever. So
I feel like we're going to see a lot back and forth with that, though, throughout the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Red Sox have kind of been where they've been. They're on a little bit of a streak now, solidified themselves as kind of that key, third-place team fighting for a wild card spot, and that's where they're going to be. And, if you were to tell a Red Sox fan that in the middle of August or, still early August, but, pretty much for the rest of the season, they'll be fighting for a wild card spot, I think a lot of people would be pleasantly surprised. So, the end of the day, Nick, I know you have high expectations, but it's you got to take it as a win up until this point. Where two other teams that can't say that are the Rays and Blue Jays. Even though the Rays have been playing better, they're not seen as a legit wild card threat unless they get super hot. And then the Toronto Blue Jays has been a disastrous season, to say the least.
To say the least.
Yeah. But with that being said, it brings us to the AL Central, where Guardians still lead. The Twins have closed the gap a little bit to 4 games, where it's probably three. They closed at 3.5 yesterday before their game also got rained out, and the Twins took a loss to the Cubs. So pushed them back to 4, but the closest they've been since the state has been May 17th. So they have made up a lot of ground in that period of time. So now it's gonna, Nick, we'll talk about it probably on Friday or tomorrow. Biggest series, a 4-game series starting Friday night because there's a doubleheader in there against the Guardians. It's going to be arguably the biggest series of the season. So a lot could change in this week when we look at it, or they could just split 2-2, and then we're not talking about anything really. But a lot could change, and a lot has the ability to change. And then the Royals are still there, 5.5 out. Red Sox have taken care of the first 2, which was my ideal scenario. Hopefully, the Royals, though, as long as the Twins win, make it a little bit more there, just so the Red Sox aren't catching up to us either. And then AL West. Sorry, can't believe I didn't say this.
Talk about how the White Sox.
The White Sox. The streak is over. Nick, the White Sox announcers knew it. They pick up the 5 win over the Oakland Athletics, and I still think Oakland will win the series, but you don't want to be that team that loses, and unfortunately, the Athletics are that team that lost to them. And you can just see the White Sox after the game just laughing because they know it's an embarrassment, but they don't care. The streak is over, Nick.
Hey, you look at these streaks. The White Sox are hotter than the Guardians.
Yeah, hotter than the Twins, hotter than the Royals by a lot, hotter than the Mariners. They're just as hot as the Phillies are right now, to say that.
They might be
yeah. And so, with that being said, the future is bright in Chicago. And we'll leave it at that. The AL West, Nick, Seattle, ever since getting Rosarena, have been a little bit better offensively wise. And, they've still held the lead just because the Astros have been in a little bit of a slump. The Rangers, still 5 games out, feel like they've been 5 games out, but they're in a slide right now. It'll bring questions this offseason should they have, sold. And then the Angels and Athletics are kind of just are what they are. Maybe the Athletics can catch up to last
Seems like
place.
it seems like nobody wants to take this division. Like every
Yeah,
time, the Mariners go on like a 3-game losing streak, the Astros just keep losing or they don't play good. Like the Rangers have had so many opportunities to kind of dig or climb out of the hole they dug themselves in, and they'll win like 4 in a row, and then all of a sudden they'll have a bad 2 weeks and be right back to below 500.
yeah.
So this
Well, it's
division's
just the way
weird.
it is in this division.
Hmm.
NL East, we move to some teams that have gone a little bit cold of late. The Phillies, but they're still 6.5 up despite being 3-7. They did pick up a win against the Dodgers last night to bring that to the rubber match today. The Braves are in a 3-game slide, 6.5 out, and then the Mets. They obviously couldn't stay hot forever. They've come down to earth a little bit, 4-6 in their last 10, but still Mets had a great rebound to start, so it'll be interesting to see who finishes higher in the standings, Atlanta or New York, because that'll have a lot of eyes being kept on that.
Again, same point I just made with the AL West. Like the Braves, what are you doing? You had the opportunity and you lose 3 straight. I know, obviously you're trying to win every game, so it's not like it's on purpose, but they had chance to gain actual like solid ground. With how bad the Phillies are playing, they lost I think 6 straight, was it, before they
Yeah,
finally got the win in Seattle. So this division, we're going to see it come down to the wire. I think the Phillies are really going to struggle down the stretch, and either the Braves or the Mets are going to start shooting up. The Mets are starting to pitch really well. Sean Manaea, shout out Sean Manaea. His last 2 starts, he's been really, really good. So
yeah,
this is going to be exciting.
it
And at
will be.
least there's always a race at the end.
Yeah, a race that kind of has always been the same, Nick, at this point. The NL Central, where it's the Milwaukee Brewers comfortably in first place, kind of always 10 to 15 games above 500. The Cardinals are just kind of there playing slightly above 500 baseball. And then the Pirates, Reds, Cubs all just kind of clumped in. And it's funny, Chicago last place, positive run differential, St. Louis minus 47, second place. So that's just kind of the way this division has gone. Maybe it can flatten out towards the end, but at this point, it's just kind of been the same. So, for better or worse, give the Cardinals a little bit of credit for winning a lot of close games, or, these other teams just unfortunate, like the Reds. But, at the end of the day, this has been the same story in the division and probably something that, has changed the least.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I really want to see the Reds jump up, but it seems like they're just doomed to be 4th place regardless of what their run differential is, how many
They're only
runs
a
they
half
score.
game back of last, but they are, they couldn't, just sweep the Cardinals one series and take it. But,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
going to
true.
get hope up. And then NL West, Nick, probably the most intriguing division because the Dodgers have obviously been in a little bit of a slump. They're still one of the better teams, but your Padres, my Diamondbacks, the Giants, have just kind of been there around 500. They have been playing a little bit better baseball. Shout out Blake Snell, been really solid. The Rockies, have been the Rockies though. But the Padres and Diamondbacks have gone both hot at the same exact time, both 8-2 in their last 10, and only 4 games out of first place. So
Hmm.
is it crazy, if one of these teams comes back to win the division?
No, that's not crazy at all because all it takes is who's going to get hot in baseball. That's the name of the game in baseball is who gets hot when. And honestly, this season is the first time in a long time where I've seen 1, 2, all 3 National League divisions are pretty tight races where it's going to come down to the wire. And then AL West, AL Central, and then AL East is between 2 teams, but still, like every division, there's not a runaway winner. The most runaway is probably the Central. I don't think the Brewers are going to give it up. So I guess I'll say
Yeah.
5 out
But
of
even
6.
then, this is the first
But
season in a
yeah,
while where there isn't a team on pace to win 100 games.
yeah, which is crazy.
So it's been a lot of balance, which I like.
Right. I love it because teams, the Mets are like a perfect example of who started bad and are now, playing good. Like that's happened for a bunch of teams. The Red Sox started, pretty bad. They were, 500 for the longest time. And that was, the joke I had when we were starting these
Yeah.
or doing these earlier MLB videos is like, if the Red Sox are a game below 500, put all your money on them to win because they're going to be 500. But they got hot, and now, they're 10 games up. But this is, and a lot of these fourth place or even fifth place teams, depending on the division, they're not terrible teams like you see. We have obviously the White Sox and like the Marlins, but the Cubs, they're only 4 games below, and the Giants, fourth place, they're a game below 500. So it's really cool to see a lot of, there's a lot of parity and just level evenness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And that'll be, something interesting that we'll get into, as the season comes to a close, or September baseball comes, and, we're seeing who's going to separate themselves. We've been saying that for a while though, and there really hasn't been much separation for better or for worse. I think that'll just make an even better ending that last game. I feel like we'll see teams that just miss out, some teams that just sneak in. So it'll be very fun to see. But with that being said, we'll be here for all of it. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. And follow us for the rest of the baseball journey, because it is going to be an exciting end to the season. But we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.